Hello everybody, and welcome to this Awesomenauts replay cast with yours truly, SlowWolf. Today we'll be taking a look at a game played by Rasco. He played a frog. Let's go ahead and see what he did right, what he did wrong, and what can be done to help him out, and, you know, just what he does, what it all means. So, let's go ahead and start this replay in 3, 2, 1, bam! Right, so he picked up a piggy bank, he's got dash, and he's got boots right at the start of the gate. Which is a fine way to start if you're willing to pick up a lot of coins. That's the quickest way to pick up a lot of coins. It also gives you a lot of survivability, but it doesn't give you a lot of killing power. So right out of the gate, he gets dashed, he does a dash right back, and he picks up the 50. That was a really good move by him. Picking up that 50 is a good way of securing an early engagement like this. He dashes out of the way, doesn't get caught by the black hole. His buddy Pixels does, but he doesn't, so that's all good. Saving his dash to escape is a good thing to do against the sentry. As far as I've known, Frog has never gets caught by sentry if he doesn't want to be, so that's always a good thing. So right now, Rasco, you probably should have been moving around a little bit more, getting some of the solar on the ground, just picking up some of the silver coins, because you're just sitting up there doing, what, nothing? He almost gets picked up by a black hole, doesn't quite, puts out some poke damage. There's a gold coin right there. He just let it slide into the Lone Star's hands, which is fine, but whatever. Gets a good last hit onto that droid there with his dash. I'm not sure if he meant to do that, but that ended up working out to his benefit. So for boots and dash, he's getting solar, he's getting some farm, but he could be getting more farm. I don't know why you're even waiting there. You should be going, go, 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 go. Rasco, you're playing frog. Go, go, move. Are you typing? I hope you're typing. If you're not typing, then this is sad face. Yeah, there we go. So he picked up one of the creeps, that's fine. But that was a long period of time where he could have been picking up solar, so that's not the best. Managed to dodge out of the way of that frog's dash. That was really well played, and now he's putting pressure on this top tower. This is a good play. Even if he's only got one droid there to put pressure with, he knows that he's got dash, so he can escape pretty much anything if he times his dash properly. And then he just puts some pressure on the top tower instead, so that's pretty good. Gets caught in a black hole, just dashes out of it. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Frog is really good against Sentry just because he can just dash out of most things. And if he doesn't have dash, he's got super speed NATOs. He's going to go ahead and try to pick that up. Doesn't quite do that. Does a dash in return. So on roughly even footing, the other frog has NATO. That puts him in a slightly better position in a fight against Rasco here, because Rasco doesn't have quite the same amount of damage. Rasco does manage to pick up that other gold coin. Doesn't steal the creep there, but that's fine. Stealing the creep there was a little bit risky anyway. So there's a creep off to the left. There's two of them. He could actually pick one of those up for a little bit of extra solar. There's gold coins on the ground right there, and he didn't pick them up. There's a bunch of blue. He manages to dash out of it, hit both the creeps, and hit the opposing sentry, and picks up some of the gold coins. So that was good. That was a really good dash, actually. He managed to hit 3 targets. That's 75 total damage. Like, that's really good for just base dash. The other thing that Rasco's been doing pretty well is he hasn't needed to go home yet. Okay, so NATO, he needs to keep his distance from this frog. The frog is slightly better off than he is in terms of a fight. And there we go. He doesn't quite last hit that droid there, so he doesn't pick up the 5 solar from that. He walks into one of those, but he might be able to get this kill on sentry. Yes, there we go. So that sentry played badly. He didn't expect the frog to go out and chase him, but frogs are really good at chasing, so yeah, that ended up happening. Amplified damage coming out. Rasco needs to play a little bit safely. And he's going to be fine. He's just going to dash out of the way and then stun him into the turret. Really good job. Stunning the other frog into the turret was a lot of damage. And actually stunning anybody into a turret when they didn't mean to be stunned into a turret is really important. That's a lot of extra damage that you really like having on there, and it's one of Frog's strengths to be able to kind of spring that on people. So he's a little bit hurt. He needs to be careful in this engagement. He manages to dash through the black hole, doesn't get completely caught out, and both of his friends managed to make it out. Bit of a misplay on their part. If they had synced up their pounces, their dashes, and their black holes properly, they would have been fine. So he picks up NATO, he picks up a rank in regen. So that brings Rasco here up to, yep, 2 ranks in regen, NATO, boots, piggy bank, and dash. So right now, he's decent in a fight. He's got his both of his base abilities, but where Rasco is currently strongest is his hit and run ability. His ability to regen in between engagements allows him to stay in the lane a lot longer. Oh, if you had aimed a little bit down, you would have picked up. There you go. Picking up the gold coin. Important. Really important. Every solar coin you pick up is a solar coin you don't have to wait for. So he gets dashed instead of being able to do the dash. That wasn't the best, but his NATO comes out, deals some decent damage to Sasha, 30 total, and then manages to wipe out the majority of that wave. He dash and stuns out the NATO on the other frog, which is really good. It wastes a cooldown for them and gives you extra damage and engagement. He manages to use his dash, uses his NATO. Really well played there. Not only did he dash out of a black hole, But then on top of that, he managed to turn that around completely and kill off their sentry. And then he managed to escape, so that was really good. There's a gold coin right behind you, Rasco. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Right there. It's off to the left. Come on, come on! No, okay. That's fine. So, currently, his total solar is the highest in the game, so good job. Especially considering that you had Piggy Bank, you should still be at that point. The current score is 3-0, and he's contributed 2 of those kills, which is really good. So there's a solar coin off to the right, and you didn't pick it up. Okay, so one of the biggest things I'm noticing here is that Rasco's just not picking up coins when he should be. But he is using he is using his positioning properly. Like right there, he noticed that there was one droid that was able to push the tower at the very least. He managed to put some good pressure on the top tower. So looking at this now, look at that top tower. Isn't that just... It's sexy. It's so much lower than the towers on the other side. It's because they're putting really good pressure on and abusing that Lone Star's ability to push lanes. Alright, so right now he's at home. What's he picking up? He managed to pick up 2 ranks in attack speed on the blaster. Okay. So, from what I can tell right now, Rasco's build is primarily centered on using his left click to chase and otherwise harassing using his dash. Using his NATO for any significant damage that needs to be done. So he didn't quite dash out of that one. That was fine. He realized that he wasn't in any real danger, and he could just pick up some HP afterwards. All right, so yeah, he didn't pick up any of the solar up there. He didn't really go aggressive for that, but instead he's going to go after Sasha. Sasha ends up dying. Really well played there. That's another thing that Frog's good for, is picking up opportunities like that. So he sees this tower, it's very low. He used the dash to damage it, which is really inefficient use of dash, I found, because it does half damage to towers. And even then, you want to save it to escape. So personally, I never dash towers. It just does not feel worth it. Oh, wow. That other Frog dashing into a black hole. That was not a good use of dash either. Rasco doing some damage to that tower, managing to pick it off. Really well done. And that Penny's going to pick up that 50 HP, and then Rasco's going to explode. That was unfortunate. So let's take a look at the map right now. Rasco's team is doing extremely well. The blue team has lost 2 towers to almost no revenge tower damage. Like, this guy's at like 3/4. This guy's almost at 7/8. Like, it's really looking really good. They got another super droid coming up here to put some pressure on the top lane, which probably won't last too long, but hopefully their Lone Star can protect it. That's something that Lone Star is good for. It's eventually going to go down. But not before Rasco comes back. No, it did die before Rasco came back. Okay, cool. Manages to dash through the black hole again. That's one thing that Rasco's doing extremely well in this game, is he's dashing through black holes. Even if it's by accident or whatever, it does not matter. The point is he's managing to dash through black holes constantly, which is avoiding a lot of damage that the sentry's banking on being able to deal. And then Rasco manages to catch the sentry in a really bad spot and just pick him off. So with all those attack speed upgrades, he can deal a decent amount of damage in a very short amount of time. DPS, like pure numbers wise, it's usually better to go 1 rank in damage before going any ranks in attack speed, but ranks in attack speed allow you to do a decent amount of damage anyway, and it's fairly cheap. Like, all 3 ranks are cheaper than going for 2 ranks in damage, so no big deal. So it's a little bit glitched right now because there's a lever. Levers tend to glitch the replay system. It's really quite annoying. That Frog dashed to the left instead of dashing out of that situation. He got really greedy and thought that he saw a chance to kill somebody when he really didn't have any chance of that. So that was not super good. All right, and now all of my information is completely bonkers, so I can't really rely on any of it. Rasco's in a bad spot. He was typing. Just don't type, people. Don't type. Why is he typing? Why are you typing? Rasco, stop. Just go home. Alright, so he's got 489 solar, which is great. He's going to spend it on Thornfish. Alright, so left-click builds. Left-click builds on Frogs are really useful. They're quite good because his left-click is very strong, like with all the right upgrades. It's one of the higher sources of DPS in the game. Personally, I don't like them, just because they're not my playstyle. That's not my thing. But Rasco's really making it work here. And by picking up the attack speed upgrades first, it kind of makes Thornfish a little bit, I don't know. A lot of people like going Thornfish first because the extra damage that it does right out of the gate is more effective than all the attack speed, and that's pretty significantly true. You would rather go for the Thornfish than going for all the attack speed upgrades, but sometimes you just don't have the money, and that's what happened with Rasco. He didn't have the money right out of the gate to make that work because he went for Piggy Bank. And Piggy Bank's good and all, but if you decide to spend it on that extra money on upgrades, and you're not getting kills right out of the gate, and upgrades like boots too, which don't do a lot of damage, then you're going to be having a hard time farming solar, and that means that you're going to have to go for cheaper upgrades right out of the gate in order to actually be effective during the earlier portion of the match. So right now, Sir Krams is in a bad spot. The Penny, the blue team is actually in a good position to try to keep people out of the jungle, though. So that's problematic. Rasco needs to be farming a little bit more. He could be upstairs right now, getting some damage up on those creeps. He's in a bit of a rough spot. Amplified damage and low HP. You don't want to be in that situation, really. But his regeneration is really kicking in. So he could be farming now. He could have picked up that 50 HP pack. He decided not to. Not ideal. Again, I think he should not have had to go back home. He had 2 ranks of regen. Abuse it. Keep farming. Oh, wow. Massive black hole coming out from his team. So he was there at right place, right time. Managed to pick off both of the enemy team. Really well played by the red sentry right there, putting that black hole down. And well done by Rasco to really pick up on that cue to really just go for it. So a lot of damage going to come out on this top turret for as long as there's that droid there. Those droids there. Why is he running away? Like, he can only do that once every couple of seconds. So he runs away from the Swiggins, even though the Swiggins' combo was used up and wasn't going to be able to be used for the next couple of seconds. And the blue team's only coming up there now. Like, they could have taken that turret if Rasco was mindful of cooldowns and trying to play around them. That Swiggins is really low. He just used up his only survivability thing, excluding the anchor, which he does manage to land on Rasco right there. Okay, that's fair. Now you better save his dash for a good time. Okay, that worked out. The Coco decided not to go after Rasco. So there we go. They managed to pick out that top turret. Well done. So it does eventually go down. Oh, ooh. That pounce could have been really bad if the rest of the blue team was there. Lightning ball coming out. Rasco's in a bit of a rough situation. But he looks like he's fine. So he's sitting on 390 solar. That's usually a good time to start going home. You know, you gotta spend money to make money sort of deal. And now that he's badly hurt, this is a perfect time. Like, this is the absolute perfect time. So good job by Rasco to realize that. There wasn't much he could really do to help out in that particular fight. So he picks up, let's see, 2 ranks of Piranha cartridges and the shield on the NATO. So right now he's got max damage. He's dealing, let's see, 14 damage a shot at the very least. It's pretty bananas. And he's chasing after that. Infinity, the red sentry, manages to pick it off. That's fine. So right now his left click is as powerful as it's going to get. His hit and run capabilities are really strong because he's able to just dash in, left click for a couple of seconds, and everything dies. And this is one of Froggy's biggest late game contributions, is being able to put out left click. So what left click Frog ends up doing a lot of time is not only just damage to people thanks to Thornfish and such, but he also deals a lot of damage to creeps and towers really fast. So he can put a lot of pressure on a lot of different places at once, especially with his extremely high mobility. So the Coco there tried to get a blaze into Lightning Ball and it worked, but the slow wasn't enough to keep Rasco from running away. So that's an upgrade that Coco should be working on, is the slow on Blaze as quickly as possible, if she has it in her loadout. If not, then oops. So see here, the blue team was trying to cut him off. They thought he was going to go up there. Rasco instead smartly decided to go ahead and wipe out that creep wave. So that creep wave is now pushed in favor of the red team, which is great. Infinity is going to pick off that solar boss, giving everybody on the team 20 solar, which is really strong. That's another thing that left click Frog can really work on. Or even NATO Frog can do a good job. Frog in general is good for doing that in Ribbit 4, is just picking off solar boss kills. Now that solar boss kills give everybody on the team 20 solar, it's almost like killing a player. And if you guys can manage to make that work, that's excellent. That's fantastic. Alright, so now that Rasco's picked up the damage on the NATO, sorry, the damage shield on the NATO, he's picking up damage on the dash. I think that's a really smart move. The damage shield on NATO is a really strong upgrade. It's just good on its own. And past that base, NATO is still a really good ability. It's usually more damage in a big clustered fight than any left click you could possibly put out. So it's well worth doing that. It also helps really push things off. So past that, does he really need to upgrade it? Not really. So Rasco's doing a good job here of starting to upgrade his dash, which can do a lot of more reliable damage right out of the gate. So yeah, there we go. Shield managing to keep him alive. Rasco's barely going to get out of there, but he should be okay. Picks up the 50 health pack. He knows to go back in there. Now that he's got regen and that 50 health pack, he's actually in a really good spot to actually pick off a couple of people. So once he gets his left clicks off, and he does, really well done. Really good job, and he might be able to pick off Pluto if he's lucky. Nah, he's a little bit too fast. But that's really good, and now see, he's cutting around these droids and just picking them off. Frog with left click, extremely good for doing that. The top wave now is going to push pretty much for free. He's now in the opponent's base, picking off their creeps. That's really good, and he just gets out. He can just get out if he wants to with that dash, so long as he's careful about it. Which is why Frog is really good at that kind of thing. So there we go. He's being really annoying right now, and he managed. If he keeps doing this, then he'll be able to pick off most of the droid waves before they go anywhere, letting his droids push in pretty much unopposed, which means that they have a lot of HP when they hit the tower, which means they'll take out the tower very quickly. Okay, lots of damage coming out in that black hole. Blue team's going to run away. Rasco, instead of chasing, which was probably a greedy move, decides that he's going to go ahead and pick up some HP. That's fine. Puts out some damage on Pluto. Now, at this point, you have to ask yourself whether or not you want to push down that last tower to guarantee that you'll be able to get in and out of the base quickly, which, as Frog, is a boon to have. You really do want that. Or whether or not you're just going to push in for the rest of the game. And right now, it doesn't seem like their team is too concerned with taking that bottom tower. The Coco's going to end up living. A lot of stuff happening here right now. But what ends up happening is everybody just kind of resets. The Swiggins is out of cooldowns for a little bit, so Rasco should be safe to just kind of left click a little bit, harass. Oh, they catch the Foxy. The Foxy's in a really bad amount of HP. She's not going to end up dying immediately, and the Coco will instead. So good pick off by the Lone Star. Rasco just swinging around the periphery, but he decides to go home. Probably not the best idea. Like, I understand wanting to buy upgrades, but you have a 3v2 advantage. Really use it. He just wasted about 6 seconds of another person on the other team being dead. So, not ideal. Not ideal. He could have actually picked off that whole droid wave of, like, you know, that whole 6 seconds earlier easy, which would have made things, like, he would have been at this fight earlier. He might have even been able to get a kill by now. Like, going home when you have a 3v2 advantage is not ideal, especially when you have the 2 ranks in regen that Rasco does. Because of those ranks in regen, Rasco is really able to stick around a lot longer, and when they have that advantage, he's able to still get HP out of it. So that Coco almost dies. That's good. They've effectively got a 3v1 advantage for the next like 4 seconds, and then Foxy's going to be down for at least another little while after that. So Rasco jumping out of there. Good job. No, don't get too greedy. Oh, that's probably greedy. You need to get out of there. Pick up the 50 HP so that way they don't. The Lone Star's helping him out. Now, at this point, Rasco has this Swiggins cornered, but he's a little bit low HP. So I would be a little bit careful, and he was. That's good. He's going to pick up some HP. Now, here's where I pick off a solar boss, just for the extra solar, and to kind of let the battlefield reset, or go up top. There's right now a skirmish happening between the Lone Star and somebody. I'm guessing it's the Foxy. Yep. And yeah, he does manage to help. If it was a little bit earlier, they might have been able to catch that Foxy by surprise, but no dice. Coco being really ballsy. Unable to really land anything right now, though. Okay, blue team's in a bad spot. They're cornered by all 3. Black hole comes out. Pluto is going to likely die due to left clicks and dashing and all that problematic stuff. Coco's just going to go up the bounce pad. She doesn't have a blaze right now, so Rasco knows that for the next like 2 seconds. He's got free reign to just left click her to death, and then the Coco has blaze again. So that's a surefire way to kind of get away from a Frog, is just have blaze ready, up and ready to go. So Rasco's got 270 something solar. Let's go ahead and see what he spends it on. So he takes damage on the dash and then goes into speed on the NATO, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Speed on the NATO is another escape tool, but does he really need it? I'm not sure. I don't feel like he does. He could have been putting a lot more damage into the dash, which would mean that he wouldn't have to escape at all. He'd just be able to kill people, and I think that's a little bit more valuable. But as it stands, he feels like he needs the speed on the NATO, so okay. It works. It's not ideal, but it works. So right now I'd be going up there and taking out that 15 solars worth of creeps. But he goes down here instead, and he does end up picking up a kill. If the other team was good about it, he should not have A, picked up the kill, or B, survived that. But the other team just did not play very well there, and Rasco was able to get away with that, which is good. And that lone, oh, that Coco almost manages to get a kill, but the 2 ranks in regen just might save Rasco. Yeah, it does. Very, very well. So he's gonna go ahead and type, I guess, or just regen, or Anyway, so the bottom tower right now is being harassed a little bit, but it looks like the Lone Star and the Sentry are managed to push off whoever was harassing it, the Swiggins, Swiggins. So this tower on the bottom end is really low right now. Rasco abusing his NATO's ability to kind of soak up the damage and deal some damage at the same time, coupled with a teammate. That's a good way to kind of backdoor turrets and deal some significant damage in the short span of time that NATO would allow. So right now it's a bit of a poking game. Here's where left-click Frog tends to have a problem. Ooh, good return kill. Good return kill. There was a kill onto the Lone Star, but then that Black Hole managed to pick off that poor Fox. So, okay, and Frog goes home. So it's at this point of the game where Frog, as a left-clicker, tends to be a bit of a problem. Because he lacks burst, he can't really get into a fight and end it very quickly. He has to have a sustained amount of time where he's able to just target somebody and bring them down. And unless if the other team goes outside of their base, he doesn't have that situation. So it's not Frog's best period of time. Like, you kind of want them to leave their base so that way you can pick them off when in a big open area instead of in that enclosed small space that they currently have. Alright, some damage coming out. Everything kind of missing on both sides. Rasco's likely to get picked off here if the Coco's any kind of intelligent. And no. Oh, but good pounce by the Penny. So that was well played. So right now here's the state of the game. 1 tower down for the blue team, all 4 down for the red team. And by that I mean in favor of the red team. So there's 4 blue towers dead, 1 red tower dead, about to be 2 if the blue team just can concentrate on that instead of going after a kill. And it looks like the Swiggins decides that he's going to actually like play this game like it's supposed to be. So Swiggins is in a bit of a rough spot. He's trying to push, but he's likely to get caught up by this Lone Star. Oh, this might look bad. Oh, this might be bad. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, no, he's going to be fine. Alright, so back to Rasco. So, Rasco, he's got what now for upgrades? He's picked up the rest of the damage on dash, with the exception of 1 rank of hammer pins. So he's going for that burst. Like I said before, left-click Frog has a problem with assaulting bases, where right-click / NATO Frogs don't as much, because they have the burst to be able to really significantly change how a fight goes before anybody kind of starts hiding behind their base. So Rasco's trying to do some damage there. Blaze comes out, though, and kind of stops him from being able to chase or anything. Penny and Frog have a dash contest, but Penny gets brought low. Something, again, to be said for being able to fight out in the open with Rasco. With Frog, Frog does really well out in the open where he has that area to be able to jump around people and just completely outmaneuver them. Dash comes out, manages to dodge the Swiggity Swag grapple hook. Good job. NATO to catch up. Dash unfortunately hits the top of the ceiling. Alright, not the best thing ever, but hey, whatever, you'll deal. His cooldowns will be back up shortly. Now at this point you really have to play very safely. Right there, dashing up to get out of the way and deal some damage at the same time was a really good play. They managed to pick up a kill on the Lone Star. He manages to dodge the Swiggins combo, so Swiggins is now useless for the next 10 seconds. Foxy almost gets killed. And now Rasco has a couple of seconds to really just enjoy doing some damage to this base because both of them have to go back to heal. Pounce comes out, so Rasco knows that the Penny doesn't have Pounce, and then he uses NATO to escape. Picks up a 50 HP pack, and he's right back in the thick of it, which is really good. Black Hole comes out. Penny can't get close. They manage to pick off 1, 2, 3, 4 creeps, which is really good. Swiggins takes a lot of damage, doesn't end up dying, but gets really close. Rasco's teleporting in a really awkward place, but he manages to get out just fine. Picks up the last rank of Hammer Pants. No big deal. But if you haven't noticed, Rasco does not have any ranks and pills. This makes his build really vulnerable to serious bursts, so if he ever gets caught in a Scoldier Snarequake into Explode or any kind of nukes like that, then Rasco's Frog is going to be in a bit of trouble because he doesn't have the HP to survive that stuff late game. He's lucky that he's going up against the left-click Coco, a Swiggins who can't aim, well, until now, and a Penny who unfortunately has not been having the greatest of games, currently sitting at 2-9. So she doesn't have a lot of farm. In fact, her total solar ends up with her being level 27, which is decent, but everybody else is like, you know, several levels over her. So she's not really doing that much all told. And do I get to see what her upgrades are? Yes, twice, in fact. 3 times even. And they're all in the amplify damage, so Electro Pulse. And I'm not totally sure how I feel about that. I'm not a big fan of Electro Pulse first builds quite yet, but, you know, I'm sure someone can convince me that's a good idea. So Coco's doing some serious damage to the bottom tower here, and there's some damage coming out on this top tower as well. Left-click Cocos can do damage. Who knew? She's not going to quite be able to take out that turret. The top tower does go down, though. And Rasco's going in for a kill here. Pluto might catch the bad end of death. And no, he gets away. So, right now, amplified damage. If he gets caught out at all for damage, it could be bad. But instead, the Penny misses everything, and Rasco's able to just kind of maul her with Thornfish. Really good move there. Oh! Gets caught out by a Coco. So this is what I mean. If he had pills there, he would have probably survived. But no pills. Had regen instead. And honestly, the regen didn't do too much, I feel. Like, it did some. It saved him at least once. Oh, good tower kill by Pluto there. But aside from that one save once, honestly, it hasn't been doing too much. And in late game, you really do need pills in order to survive what goes on here. So he went for an early game left-click kill everything build. And it worked out great for the first little while. But as it stands, the game's even. Dead even. There's creeps in everyone's bases. There's lots of lag happening, whatever. And it seems like both teams could win at this point. Alright, so it's disconnected at the moment, so we get to see spinning droids and all that stuff. Infinity quitting at the last second. Oops. That's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to disconnect. That really sucks. Rasco's going to go ahead, put out some left-click damage. Instantly kills off the Frog and the Swiggins. Why? What upgrades did he have for his NATO? Yeah, he picked up tweeters. So that was a lot of burst coming out. They have about 30 seconds of free play right now, so that's really important. They really want to use this advantage that they have on the other team. Rasco's going to go ahead, pick up a little bit of HP before going down here, picking off these creeps, which is another way to push up some droids. He doesn't spend a lot of time on them, just dashes through them. That's a really good idea. When you get to this point in the game, droids aren't as important as actually doing damage. So he made a good move there. Instead of trying to push up all the waves, he just went straight for the core, and that ended up being the right choice to make. So what did Rasco do? Well, Rasco played a game of hit and run extremely well. He was able to put pressure on towers at periods where it was necessary and where it was really good to do. A couple of droids walk up to the tower. He was there pushing it, so that's excellent. The other thing that Rasco did extremely well was make sure to stay out of the sentry's black holes in the early game. That was instrumental to making sure that he lived through that early game and that he was able to keep farming. Saving that dash for defensive purposes is really important early game. You don't want to be using it too offensively sometimes, unless if you're guaranteed to kill, which is the other thing that Rasco did well. He was really good at chasing people, especially in the early game. When someone extended too much like that sentry, he managed to get first blood on that. That was a really good move. That was excellent. Things that Rasco didn't do too well, the one thing I noticed a lot was that in the early game especially, he would just stand there for a minute. Maybe it was typing or not, but not a good move. But on top of that, whenever there's golden coins or coins of any kind, those weren't a priority, and they need to be. Last hitting, if at all possible, is important. You want to try to work on that, and you also want to work on trying to pick up gold coins when you see them, because that's a lot of solar on the ground. Like, every gold coin is 5 seconds that you don't have to wait for it, and even the silver coins are a good way to speed things up, but those gold coins, that's where it's at. You definitely want to be picking those up whenever you can, and saving your dash for that instead of dealing the dash to the tower is kind of instrumental. What you want to be doing is pushing the creeps to the tower, have your creep die, and then dash away while picking up all the coins on the ground there. So you'll take a little bit of damage, but Rasco had access to regen, so that was a good way to use regen in the early game in such a way that you'd be able to get the most benefit out of it. And that would have made not having pills later on probably more worth it. So those are my biggest things. If you guys have any more things you wanted to tell Rasco, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you guys have any comments or queries or suggestions or cries of agony, let me know as well. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later!